Welcome everybody. My name is Stefan Wagner, and I welcome you on behalf of TRITEC to this webinar, which covers the basics of project design of Solar Pro Tool. I'm not a native English-speaking person, so hopefully I will not end up in using lots of R's and R's while trying to find the right words. I hope please accept my apologies in advance. This webinar will be more or less will be done in form of a presentation. So I kindly ask you to keep your microphones muted, and if there are questions, which I'm pretty much sure there will, please send these to the in reply of the invitation of this webinar as by email. The webinar itself will be recorded, and you will receive after this webinar, you will receive a link to the recording of the webinar, and also a document with all questions that have been placed after the webinar and all the answers to these questions. Okay, so now the basic tutorial for today will cover the design for regular pitched roofs just by the measures of these. There is a drawing method to design the roofs. This will be also part, and also project design for flat roofs will be part of this presentation today. First off, I would like to start with a project you'll see here in the 3D view once you're in the position tab. So this is a commercial pitch roof with very, very slow degree of pitch, but anyway, so I would start off and I go to the home tab. And before I start to create this project, I would like to take the opportunity to explain these two buttons here. Open project. That opens a dialog where you have a list of the projects which you either designed yourself or you're able to access because you have the sufficient rights to do so. Maybe in your company more than one person has a login to the 3D design tool, and you're in the user group, so you could access each other's projects. So then those projects of your colleagues will be listed here too. The search, if you just search, you will search the project title. So as there are only 3 to list, this is not really not really telling or finding much. Interesting is if you don't know the title but the project address, so the city, then you just highlight this, and you see these projects are done in Freiburg in Germany. So once I type FRE, these are listed. So it's very handy in terms of if you don't know the project title, but you know the city where the project was designed. Next thing, manage project is also very interesting, has the same capability in terms of search, but you could also, let's say, do aggregations on filtering of the list of accessible projects by the form of roof, or by users, as I'm just alone and I'm not belonging to a group. Nothing is listed here. I could search for a user, but I will not find anyone here. The most important and most interesting functionalities with the project management is the copy function. So let's say you have designed a project with, let's say here with an east-west, a flat roof project with east-west, and you would like to offer, you would like to create a second offer with a south-oriented system. You could start a new project if you want to, but a good idea is to say, well, you go to project management, you highlight the project you want to make a copy. And either you just want to copy the roof data, so without the modules, etc., and everything you've done after the let's say the roof tab, then you would decide yourself to say, well, copy roof data, or if you want to make an entire copy of the entire project, you would choose copy project. And the copy is fairly fast done. And you'll find it on top of your list always with the, and it starts always with copied and then the project name of the project that you just copied. So very interesting. And I would advise to use that if maybe you don't change let's say the laying system here, but maybe you're using just different types of modules. And with every version of your quote, my advice would be to create a copy, so you have a history of your work for a specific project, where you could always return and could say, well, this was created on a specific date, and you freeze that. And I will show you later in the Output tab how to freeze a project, so no unintentional changes will be done. So yeah. In terms of documentation of your work and the history of your quotes, that's maybe one of the strongest benefits of the copy mechanism here in the project management tab. So now, if we want to go back and if we want to create this project I was talking about, well, we just hit the Create Project tab, and I'm giving a name. The name doesn't need to be unique, so you don't have to get a headache if you used a project name earlier. I'm tutorial, so you're totally free. The comment tab is very interesting, so you could add some comments here. Maybe if you're interacting with colleagues and you're working together on one specific project, this could be also used as a workload, but keep in mind, once you create the project report, the content of the comment field will be part of the project report. So if there's any comments about the customer, that the customer is whatever, then maybe you should clear the contents before creating the project report for the customer. Planning responsible is optional. Typically, that's your name. So I'm typing in mine here. Project address. You could fill that out by hand. Actually, in my opinion, that's not really a good idea. The best idea is to use Google functionality. And the mimic is that you start with the street, the number of the building, and then you are presented with a couple of possible locations. And as this is typical German wording, Google will not, well, maybe it could exist in Switzerland, then it would be listed here. But actually it's only 4 locations worldwide for Google. And our location is actually here in Freiburg. So I'm just clicking on that. And it's this basic Google Maps functionality. So you see the street map from Google. You could zoom in, could zoom out. You could enter full screen mode if you want to. You could also work with Google Street View if that's your topic. A very interesting function is to use the satellite mode, because you could go into the satellite mode and say, well, the project address said it's this building, but it should be this building, and you just click on this building to make sure that this is the project location, and now you have the option to save this as a project location or shipping address. In our case, first things first, so the project location is very important, and the reason why we're doing this with Google is not only that all these fields are pre-filled then from the software, and the country is picked correctly, but also in the background we have a true Google address. And once we're in the roof tab and where we determine the snow and wind load, we need the height of the location on sea level, and this will be done and will be automatically done in the background once we have a Google address. So That's the way how to do it. All other fields are optional, not mandatory. So you could fill company name, whatever. You could leave that blank if you don't feel that it's necessary to fill out the shipping address. If it's blank, it's going to be not a part of the project report. You could fill that out by hand. You could also use Google, or you could say, well, the shipping address is the same as the project address. Then just click here and all values from here will be transferred to here. So that's for the project. So once you're done, you click save, and everything will be saved on the server. So no local data is saved, which is very important, because if you're in the field outside, you could work with your notebook and return to the office, go to your desktop, log on, and you could start right away with the last project you worked with. So now you're done with the project tab, and you could go and you see the next tab is visible, and that's the roof tab. So now in the roof tab, you could decide what kind of roof form you want to use for pitched roofs and also for flat roofs. And if you choose different types of pitched roofs, you see the number of inputs are changing. As let's say for a typical ridge roofs, less input values are needed for a half-hipped as for a half-hipped roof. That's by nature. In our example, we just use a ridge roof, and dimensions is the ridge length. So that's the value E here, and you see there's the A here and the A here. So in all values are in millimeters. It's 48,170. The width is 12 meters and 80, so 12,800. Building height is 8 meters. And the slope of roof is 6 degrees. I could provide a name if I want to. Predefined is roof 1. Just leave it like that. The roofing, so now I need to decide what kind of roofing I would like to work with, and that's critical because later in the design tab where the fixation is to be chosen, only fixations will be displayed suiting the roofing that you did choose in the roof tab. So you need to do your choice here. In my example, it's trapezoidal sheet. System alignment is 98 degree, and despite some other software in the solar business, inside the tree design tool, north is 0 degree and south is 180. So like with architect and other businesses where it's the same in the solar business, it's vice versa. Often you see that south is 0 and north is 180. So just to keep you in mind that you need to have that in mind, that north is 0. And once you hover over this little eye icon here, you see an example. Let's say if in the regular solar branch, you wanted to type in 30 degree into the example, you need to add 180 because south is 180. So the input that you need to do would be 210 degrees. So in our case, it's 89. Next two things is to calculate the snow and the wind load. And you could start the calculation by clicking on these icons here and here, but you could also, as I was just here in this field to give the system alignment, I'm just clicking into this field and you see the dialog is popping up, and you see the elevation altitude in meters. That's a service we're consuming from Google, so you don't need to know how high the area here and the project location is on sea level. That's done automatically. 6 degrees, that's something I gave input here earlier. And here, snow load zone for Freiburg is 2. That's something we take from a data source, from a German data source. You could decide if the snow cannot slip. So if there's any barriers that are installed at the bottom of the roof. So if that's the case, you should check this checkbox. If not, just leave it as it is. It's 2. It's 2A. And now you could say, well, I would like to be more conservative because 2A is probably higher in terms of load than 2. So now in this case, you could say, well, I'm conservative and I would like to pick zone 2A, which I'm doing here in this case. I'm just selecting and the dialog is closing. Same goes for the wind. And these dialogues are depending on the project location. So the dialogue in the Netherlands looks according to the national annex to the Eurocode from the Netherlands. In Belgium, it's different. In France, it's different. So all countries, European countries, are implemented here into the software. So depending on your project location, you will receive the right dialogues. So here, a pre-selection is done, area 1, roof height is done, elevation, altitude, and I could measure just for demo purpose, which is not really necessary in this location, but just to show you, if I say, well, I would like to do a measurement to the next shore, so let's say here it's 400 something kilometers, yeah. I wonder which is closer. So if that would be a project location in Germany, let's say here, somewhere here, yeah, it's a good idea to measure the distance to the shoreline. In Great Britain, that's mandatory to do. So this is pre-filled, and the only thing I need to do is to select the current terrain category. And to be conservative here, I would recommend to select category 2. Also, yeah, the dialog is closing and the calculated value is automatically input here. So last thing here is depending on the choice, what I'm doing here of the choice of roofing, the construction design of the roof itself is changing. So typically you have roof beams underneath the sheeting here, and here are some standard predefined values, and maybe you don't have a clue, you didn't take measurements, so best idea is to just stick with these predefined values. You could say, well, I have roofing material is, maybe it's steel, and maybe thickness is not 0.7, but maybe 0.5. So you're free to change these values in the first phase of your project on a regular basis. I'm assuming that you don't have any values here, so you just stick with these predefined values. That's a good idea. So once you're ready here, just click Save, and you see the next tab is becoming visible. And so I'm getting over to the next tab, and you see 3 sections here. First is favorites. So favorites is in the context of your user account. Every time you're choosing a module you didn't work with before, it's automatically attached to this list, and you could clear this list if you want to. Module selection is the access to the whole database, and it's about 70,000 or 80,000 modules. So you could start typing, and then the manufacturer is listed. So that's the easiest way to find modules. And these lists can be sorted. Every time you hover over a table head, and you see that the pointer of your mouse is changing to from pointer to hand, this indicates that you could sort by this column, and the first click is ascending, and the second click is descending. So I could say, well, I would like to use a 370. Well, that's a very large module. But anyhow, maybe we take that one here, 350, for example. And once it's selected, you could see, it's selected in this info area. Here you get some more information about the module itself. And if you would like to use this module later for inverter layout and the calculation of the annual yield, please make sure that you'll find at the end of one record here, you find this icon here with this icon. So that means that all electrical data is present, and you could do the inverter layout later if you want. So we checked, we selected this module, click Save, and now we are asked if we would like to save this for the current roof and for all roofs. And if you check this grayed out section here, you see it's roof 1. That's the name I provided, and you see that's east. Yeah, and remember when we started, there was this rendering of this commercial roof where you have seen there's an east and a west side. So typically, every roof has if it's not I don't know the English word Pultdach. I could take a peek later. You have always two sides of a roof, and in our case, and if you would like to visualize the whole building, it's a good idea to check here all roofs, because then the whole building will be saved. Otherwise, you would just have half of the building later in the visualization. So my recommendation is even if you don't want to, if it's a south-north oriented roof and you don't want to lay out modules on the north side, even then I would say, well, just for presentation's sake afterwards, to check, to select here all roofs. Successfully saved, so head on for the next step. And the standard here for trapezoidal sheet is the tree stand special save click. Installation system is horizontal. You could select the module rail, the layout plan, and I would like to change that from horizontal to slide system. Yeah, so the modules are not kept by clamps, or not attached to the rail by clamps, but are held by the rails themselves. So the slide system. I would like to change the orientation to portrait mode and hit save. And again, yeah, for all roofs, I just hit save, and check the rail. So I could take some. Let's say I would like to have the black, the black rail if I want to. This is the standard rail. But now just have a look at the position tab, and you see both sides of the roof. I could show that here. So both sides of the roof completely laid out. So maybe we start with the tool section here. So this is the selection tool where you could select one or more modules, and the selection is you just need to touch a module and then it becomes selected. And in Office applications, for example, it's often that you need to, if you want to select this module here, you need to completely surround it with your selection rectangle. In this software, it's like everything that's touched is selected. So that's one way to select modules. The other way is with the basic, let's say, click functionalities. So just as in a file system, for example, if I would have press now select one module, press the Shift key and hold it, and select another module, everything in between will be also selected. So if I would, let's say, hold the Shift key and click that, so then all these modules here, diagonal, will be selected. And same goes for the Control key. So I could select or deselect single modules, and this works also together. Let's say I had selected this, and I would like to deselect these modules. Just select the Control key on your keyboard, keep it pressed, and then select or deselect modules. So that's a very easy task. This one I will explain with the next session. So that's to draw interference areas directly in the position tab. So in this view, this is for for moving everything. But actually this is designed for if you operate the tool with a tablet. If you operate it on your PC or notebook, Once you have, and this is by standard selected, the selection tool, so keep in mind left mouse action is selecting modules, right mouse action is moving everything. Very convenient. Left select, right move everything. So the hand is more or less not needed if you're working on a desktop or on a PC. This one, also very interesting, gives you the opportunity to rotate. And so left is tilting and rotating once you keep the left mouse button pressed. And the right is also moving up and down. So this is like the flight height if you want to, and shifting. And still, if you let's say in this view here, you can still work with a layout plan. So I'm still able to select modules here, and maybe I would like to delete them. Control Z is undoing that. This is zooming also for the tablet mode, because if you have a mouse, you could, with the scroll wheel of your mouse, you could zoom in and out very, very easily. This is for inserting modules, this is for working with guidelines, this is for measuring, this is for deletion also, if you work with a tablet, and this is for docking. I will explain that later. This is showing some insights, shortcuts, for example, and also for the navigation, because that's very, very interesting. Maybe you use that tool and you tilt it and rotate it, and you say, well, but I would like to go back into this original view where it's totally top. You could try to do it like that. Easiest way is just click on the house, and then we try to do the zooming, that the roof area is displayed and it's totally flat on the roof, so it's no perspective. But you could also have these perspective views if you click on this cube here, and if you're somehow familiar with AutoCAD, you will recognize this cube here. That's the very same as in AutoCAD. You have the navigation here, so north, west, east, and south, which gives you an idea on this is the eastern part of the roof, this is the western part. And now these are two roof areas, and if you click here on this little icon, that's the roof manager, which opens up, you see there's an area. So this is the area. There's a building, and this building consists of two roofs, the east side and the west side. So once you hover over this roof icon, you see there are these two areas, and you see this is currently active. And you could change the current active roof parts just by starting the roof manager and by clicking on this icon, and now we change that. Now it's the west side, and you see west is down and east is up. There's another way, specifically only in this position tab. We will be in the future will be also present this functionality in CAD plan, statics, and electric, but currently it's only present in the position tab. So once you have the selection tool, and you see if I hover over the inactive roof area, there's a highlighting. Double click opens it. Now I'm in the east part. You see now the E is down. Now the west is down. So very easy to change the active roof. Now currently you see there are thermal breaks in this layout here. And let's say we would like to get rid of these thermal breaks, and you go back to the design tab, go to module layout plan, and you hit deactivate standard block distance. Just deactivate it, hit save. For all roofs, not only for the present roof area. And now we say, save and regenerate the module area. Successfully done on both areas. Go to the position tab. And now you see on both sides of the roof, no thermal breaks. Very easily done. You could do that by hand if you say, well, I would like to have some breaks here. You could say, well, I would like to have a vertical separation after a certain amount of modules, let's say 10, and you would like to have a width of 400 millimeters. So that's very easy to do, and you could also do that with a horizontal separation after a certain amount of modules. So that can be done. I'm not going to save this. So if you're not saving, if you change one tab to another and you're not saving your work, it's lost. That's a very, very important hint. So how can we work with this module layout? Maybe you're not satisfied with the automatic layout, I'm deleting a couple of modules here. So once I'm selecting modules, you see here in the lower section, you see the amount of modules that are selected. It's now 25, and now it's 15, for example. Maybe I want to move some modules, and moving can be done. Let's say I would like to move these modules a bit to the right, and you see you have here a constant counting, an indicator of the cursor position X and Y. So in this direction is X and this direction is Y, and also selection X and Y. So this is this position Y, 350 millimeters from here, and 11,850 millimeters from here. So I could say, well, I'm doing a selection here, but I'm trying to move this, and I'm checking the X position of my cursor to make sure that I'm in the Y value. I'm totally precise, yeah. But you get the idea. It's not really precise. That's something, yeah. You can move stuff like that. Maybe it's interesting if you say, well, I would like to move everything. Yeah? Maybe then it's okay. Yeah? In my opinion, if you want to move, let's say, a field, and you would like to maintain this line here, the easiest way is to use the arrows on your keyboard. And you see now I'm pressing on my keyboard the arrow to the right, and I'm moving these modules to the right. Once I'm releasing the focus, or I'm waiting a while, you see there was this animated sun, and if the modules are kept in the way where I move them, then they can be built like that. If I move modules in a position where they cannot be mounted, maybe just like here, and you see there's this hint that disappears by itself, and the modules will be brought back automatically to the last possible position. So you cannot fail here. So if it's not allowed, you cannot do it. And if it's allowed, so if you put modules and they remain where they are, you can build your installation, your project, the way you designed it. So that's a very important thing. So once having in mind that you could move modules with the arrows on your keyboard, maybe it's interesting to see by what value you can move that. So now if you click here on this hamburger button, you see keyboard jumps. That's 50 millimeters, and the keyboard jumps is, yeah, if I'm selecting these modules, every tick on my arrow here is 50 millimeters in reality. I could change this value, let's say, to 641, because I like to. Just type in, release the focus, and now everything I do is 641 millimeters. Very, very precise. And as you see, very, very easy. Yeah? Way easier than using your mouse and trying to be in line, or maybe working with guidelines and whatsoever. So this is the easiest part how to do it. You see, there's a docking. So once I'm bringing modules, moving modules, overlapping existing modules, and I release the mouse, there's a docking to bring them into a good position. So next advice, if you want to use or move modules, let's say you would like to have an aisle here in terms of support, whatever. Guys should be able to walk here for whatever service and maintenance. So maintenance aisle. And you say, well, this aisle should be 533 millimeters. This is the position X. Plus 533, hit return. There you go. Yeah. Fairly easy, very precise, no hassle, no whatever, and it's totally easy to use. You have to know that, okay? That's true, but that's the reason why I'm showing that. Versioning, also interesting. Yeah, maybe for larger projects, very interesting. So once you work with your module layout, my advice is for every, let's say, good step that you have taken, save a version. You can revert to this version at any time. Maybe I say, well, I would like to regenerate the module layout, and I say, well, that was stupid, stupid me. Just reverse to the saved version. It's very, very easy. And there's no limit, so you could save lots of versions. You can give these versions a telling name because last modified and layout 0. Well, maybe that's not telling very much. So just hit on the click on the pen, and maybe we name it as first layout, and hit save. And maybe that's more telling than whatever automatic layout whatsoever. Revert to this layout or delete this layout, this saved version. Very easy. But be sure there will be no question if you want to delete something. You will be not asked. It's just instant deletion. Good. Adding modules. You could add modules, but that's something that's. I mean, if you have modules in portrait mode, you could add also modules in landscape mode, but this doesn't make sense because the mounting components would not fit. Maybe with this system it might make some use, but on a regular basis this actually doesn't make sense at all. If you would like to mix modules on one roof, you need to create several roof areas on one roof side, and then you could choose different laying systems for your modules and orientations also. So keep that in mind. If you have in the design tab, you have the choice that you said, well, in portrait mode, then only portrait mode modules should be inserted. Once I click here, you see there's a flyout with 3 options. So there are 3 options how to add modules to a roof. First option, which is auto-selected, is you just have one module underneath your mouse pointer. And you could, with slight overlapping, just add modules. And you see, once you're just overlapping a bit, the global pattern is used to follow. So it's very easy to fill up modules here if you want to. So that's one option. Next option is this one. So an indicator is here a selection, a rectangular selection. Very easy. You see the mouse pointer has now this blue spot underneath. And if you want to maintain that the inserted modules are docked to existing modules and the pattern of the existing modules should be used, just make sure there's an overlapping from your rectangle selection box to existing modules, and then whatever you could go over the roof side, only the current roof, the active roof, will be taken in regard, and you say, well, this is the selection where I would like to insert modules. There you go. Just release the mouse, and then modules are inserted according to the global pattern and the size of your selection. And last but not least, and this is something especially for flat roofs, which is very interesting. Maybe you say, well, I have some patterns because during the layout I have the inverter in mind and the number of modules that could be attached to one strings and the number of strings that are could be attached to one inverter, and that creates a number of modules and maybe some patterns, if you will, especially on flat roofs. And the third way is you do a selection first and say, this is now your pattern, and you click here, and you're using the third option. And now you see I have the number of the selected modules underneath my mouse pointer. So the exact pattern, and I just click, and now these modules will be inserted, and you see they are inserted here. And to give a proof, it doesn't need to be necessarily a complete a field of modules. So it could be, let's say, something like a chess pattern, if you want to. Normally that wouldn't make sense, but you see that's also possible. Yeah? And again, here now with slightly overlapping existing modules, a docking is taken in regard. So also patterns are very, very easy to be filled out. Good. Time. Wow. In German, I'm faster. I hope you have more time than indicated. So because definitely we need more than 60 minutes. I will continue to finish the webinar with the content I was thinking about. So if you like to join me and keep and be part, that's fine. Otherwise, the screen recording will be available. So if you need to leave later at 1400, that's okay, and you're not missing anything. But yeah, just to mention. So once you're fine with your layout, maybe that's a good idea to check the statics of your installation. It takes a while until it's loaded. And the most important facts here are these two values here. So maximum utilization of fixation, that's 88.99%, and maximum utilization of profile, 36. So that means actually I could try to use a smaller profile, because this might be cheaper and might take the loads also. Yeah? Again, I could zoom in, and I'm always saying, well, as long as everything is green here, you could build it as designed. And you see these percentage values are here, the maximum load, compared in percent compared to the capacity of this fixation. So according to its maximum load, the fixation at that point will be maximum utilized with 62%. And same here for the rail. So you see these values are slightly differing from each other. You see also here in the top section, that's also differing. And you could have a deeper look if you want to. So you could say, well, I would like to see more structural details, so all the extended details. And everything becomes reloaded, and that's a good idea to reopen the legend here. And you could, I need to utilization, minimum and maximum. Yeah, there should be more. No, not. I wonder what's the English word for it. Excuse me. Details on fixation points. That was what I was looking for. And now I'm deselecting utilization on fixation points, and I'm really zooming in. And you see, instead of the percentage, you see now the true calculated values. And these LK stands for the German expression load. Lastfallkombination, so that's the load combination that could happen and occurring to Eurocode, and the true calculated values. And the worst case is always taken in regard for the calculation of the statics. So for those of you who would like to get more details, that's the way how to receive that. So, but again, once everything is below 100%. And everything here is green, you know that you could build it. And excuse me, I would like to go back to position. And once it's clear that you want to build it, maybe you would like to show your customer a pretty picture of this installation. And this can be done by 3D Scene Total. If I just hit the 3D view, then only the current roof area will be rendered. And this only would be present, also would be present if I just hit save, if I don't, earlier here in the design and the module tab, if I had done the choice to just save one roof area, then I would just see half of the building. Total renders the whole building, and there's this green digital carpet, somehow lame. I'm deciding to check maybe in this case how it would look if I would render a Google map image underneath. We have to be a bit patient here, and you see, well, yeah, in this case it's not really working, but yeah, maybe from this angle it's somehow telling for the customer, and I could take a screenshot. And the screenshot is later, if I want to, part of the project report. And it's not on a technical aspect, but let's say for, yeah, in terms of sales, that might be nice. So just taking screenshots. You could also change that to Bing Maps, because actually nobody knows in advance which service is offering the better map material. In this case, yeah, maybe it's also shift, and you cannot change this shift. That's bad. Yeah. So Bing was not an option here, but you could have a try here. Good. Once also you have this done, maybe we have a look on the CAD plan. CAD plan is actually, yeah, the plan where which gives you the mounting instructions, and again here you have also layers here, and maybe you would like to have the coordinates, the dimensioning depending on the roofing, the dimensioning module profiles of the profiles themselves of the roof. No, that's not really interesting. Maybe you would like to number the modules, and now you see some more values and measurements, etc. But maybe you say, well, I would like to have some more measurements to be done, and it might be helpful for the installer later. And you have this tool here. Once you click that, you have again a flyout indicator set, means that you could measure into the height. Yeah, maybe you would like to have some measurements from, if there's some interference area, some chimney, for example, you would like to have from the roof surface to the top of the chimney. Yeah, very rare case. Standard, that's this tool, so totally free. And you see there's also a snapping mechanism, and maybe you say, well, I would like to have from the end of the rail on top to the ridge of the roof. So first click starts the drawing, and now you're totally free, which is in this case is not really precise. But once I have hit the shift key, I'm limiting the orientation to either perpendicular or parallel, horizontal or vertically. And then the docking, that's nice. So second click is stopping the measurement. Third click is determining where the measurement will be displayed later. So you could take your measures at any time. Export these plans. There's a possibility to use true CAD file formats such as DXF or DWG. Most of the cases you will export that as a PDF. And once you click here, you will be presented with a selector which gives you the opportunity to choose from the paper size. And depending on the paper size, the software is offering you, let's say, the largest scale to really fit the paper. Let's say if you take A0, well, it's not a very interesting or good scale. Maybe you use 1:50 or maybe 1:100. That's a very common scale for architects. Here 1:140, not really common. This is somehow common. This is even more common. So let's say we take that. And now we hit the button to create the PDF, and you see how fast this takes place, and it opens itself in my Acrobat, Adobe Acrobat. And no matter how deep you're zooming in, 6,400%, it's always remaining very crispy, clear, and precise. So I'm showing that no matter on the paper, original paper size you're choosing while generating the PDF, you could blow it up for printing or plotting to any size, even blowing up areas of that to big paper sizes will not lose anything because it's not pixels, it's vectors here. And also very interesting, and also an advice to all the time when you generate a PDF, in the legend here, select everything because these PDFs are layered. So you could say, well, this is a mounting plan for not the modules, so you're hiding the modules. Yeah? Maybe it's just for the rails. Maybe you would like to also hide the areas. So these are the areas according to Eurocode, and also the module numbers, etc. So yeah, and now this can be printed. Very, very easily, or saved as, and you give it to the installer. So now there's a somehow appealing or telling mounting plan. Good. Output. The output is the area where the bill of materials is created, and have in mind that by default. It's only the mounting components that are part of the bill of material. If you want to have, for whatever sake, you want to have modules or inverters as articles appearing here, you need to choose Manage Articles, and here are some predefined articles from TUI Energy, but you could also add your custom articles. Just add. Invent a part number, give a description. If you want to have a match code, then give a match code, give a price, a weight, packaging accuracy, and hit save. And then for the custom use, it's going to be part of this additional article list, and you could attach this to any new project you are working with. You can change the amount of items, or you could delete items. Maybe you say, well, end bracket I do have on stock, I don't need to order them, and you could say, well, I'll just delete them. And now the end bracket is no longer a list of this bill of material. It will reappear on this list if you do any change on module, design, or position. So anything that changes the bill of material will make the end clamps or the deleted items reappear. You could also change the amount. Let's say profile connector, it says now 49, and you say, well, come on, I'm ordering 50 because maybe I'm losing one and then I don't want to reorder something. And now you see that once the list is loading, you see you should see two positions of this item, yeah, and you see there's one with 50 and one with 49. So the idea is maybe you said, well, I would like to have 50, but then you have the idea, well, I need to work again with the project, and you do some changes for whatever, no matter what their nature are, and you go back to the output. We're keeping your edited position because we think you had something in mind for this change. Well, okay, before you say, well, I would like to create a PDF as a list of material, you should decide which one of these positions you would like to keep, and maybe say, well, this is the one I would like to keep, and this is the one that's obsolete, so I'm just deleting it. So also, yeah, very, very easy to use. Good. So this would be project design for pitched roofs, and just by giving input values, as you have seen here. Yeah, there's also a different approach, because maybe in the first phase of your offer you don't have any values of the roof itself. You just have an address, and someone says, well, I need a quote. Here's the project address. And that's what we do first with a pitched roof, and I'm just do a copy because I'm a lazy guy, and I'm too old. I'm forgetting things too soon. And I say, well, I create a new project, and I give a project name, also base tutorial, and I call it as a comment map drawer. And I'm defining the project address, and I'm using the very same address here, and I hit save, because I don't need to give, don't want to give no other values yet. And it's a pitched roof, so I said, well, it's a pitched roof and I want to draw. It's customized. So I'm selecting this roof form, and you see once I select this roof form, now this becomes present. Draw import. Once you start it, there's a hint which explains all the tools. If you don't want to see it anymore, just activate this and close it. You could reopen it at any time once you click here on this question mark. So actually, it's easy. It's an easy decision to say, well, I don't want to see that again. So there seems to be a mismatch in address here with Google. So this is the building we want to use. I could check if the Bing material is better. As you see, no, it's not really better. And also, this is part of the next tutorial. At this point I could import technical drawings or CAD files, native CAD files, such as DXF or DWG. But in this case, we say, well, I would like do a drawing. This is sufficient enough. And the first step that we do is we work with guidelines, because you see, this is not oriented to the screen. It's a bit tilted, and if I want to draw, it would be nice if my drawing would be automatically aligned to a guideline I'm setting here. So the guideline is done with this icon. You see, there's this blue line. And the mechanism is very easy to use. The first click, it's following my mouse pointer, as you see. And the first click is setting the rotation point. And the rotation point should be set somewhere, next to the end of the roof area. So I'm just clicking with my left mouse pointer, and you see now I can, so this is fixed. I have the turning point, and the nearer I am to the turning point, the harder it is to do the setting. Yeah? And the more distance I do have between the turning point and my mouse pointer, the softer the rotation is. I can move my mouse more and have less angle, less affection on the guideline here. And again, the scroll wheel forward is zooming in, backwards is zooming out. Even if I have this tool, the guideline tool, set, once I keep my left mouse button pressed and move my mouse, I'm not setting the next point, but I'm just moving the whole picture, which is very handy. So now I just need to make sure that I'm somehow parallel to this border of the building, and I just do my click, and I find, this is good. This is good. Next, I need to define the roof area, and I see, well, here's a drawing tool. This is a polyline. I could do that with a polyline, but this is a rectangular outline, so I'm not using a polyline. If this would be a flat roof with an irregular roof outline, then polyline is good. In my case, I'm using the rectangular tool, and I could start here, or I could start here. I'm zooming in a bit and really to the outside. And again, the first click is starting the drawing mechanism. So it's exactly the same as in AutoCAD, and maybe some of you are experienced in the use of AutoCAD, so it's somehow familiar. And now you see, well, this rectangular is oriented to my screen. It's parallel to my screen. Well, but what's now the use of the guideline? Very easy. Hit the shift key and keep it pressed, and now the rectangular and everything I do is oriented either parallel or perpendicular to my guideline. And now, this looks good. So now the roof is done. as it's not a flat roof, it's a pitched roof, and it has a ridge here. So this is the ridge tool. And I just want to draw one ridge and not a couple of ridges, so I don't have shed roofs, so just a single ridge. So it's auto-selected here. And you see there's also a snapping mechanism in the middle, exact middle of this line, which I'm using. And I could also hit and keep the shift key on my keyboards. And you see I could only move parallel now to the guideline, and it's also snapping to this line here. So I do my second click, switch to the selection tool, and now I have the two roof areas. Very, very easy. Yeah? And I say, well, the roof height is, let's say, 8 meters, and the slope of roof is 6 degrees. And you see, well, it's for both sides 6 degrees, because once this is locked here, it's a symmetric roof. I could open this. And I could say, well, one part of the roof is 6 degrees and the other is maybe 8 degrees. Yeah, that's possible. Once I relock it, then it's the same value. So if I change that to here to if I change that to 8 degrees, it will be both 8 degrees for both sides. So once I'm here, I could also design my interference area. So this is for lighting purposes, so the lights should be able to penetrate the roof. So I don't know the English word for light band, or I don't know. So it's easy. I don't need to select a different tool. I'm selecting this very same tool. It's a rectangular. Yeah. The first click is setting the starting point, and again hit the shift key on my keyboard, left mouse button, click and drag to change or to move the whole image. I could zoom in to get a better detail, and the next click stops the drawing process. I could select this interference area, and I could go to interference area, and now it's the height of 0. Maybe this interference area has a height. Let's say on top of the roofing it has whatever. Let's say 400 millimeters. Huh? And I have this, and this is apparently exactly the same as that one. Very easy. The selection tool is selected. Let's say I'm selecting the interference area. I'm pressing the control key on my keyboard, and click and drag, and now I do a complete copy, and I could place it over here. And if I now press and hold the shift key also, you see that the movement of this copy of the interference area is either parallel to my guideline or perpendicular. You get the idea. Very, very easy to do. Huh? I have the indicators for the lower part of the roof. Here's the ridge. I'm done. Everything is done. Very, very easy, very fast to do. Just hit save. Change the roofing. Snow load is, let's say 2. And terrain category is 2. Hit save. All roofs, yeah, both sides should be laid out, should be taken in regard. I'm going to my favorites, and I'm using this Canadian Solar module. Yeah, for all roofs. Go to the design tab, slide system. I'm saving that for all roofs. Regenerate. Okay. Second roof also saved. Go to the module layout plan. This is in landscape. I would like to have it in portrait mode to have a better consumption of the module and using less fixation points. Hit save. Also for all roof, regenerate module area, one roof, a second roof, go to the position tab, and I'm ready. I'm done. It's all fine, it's all set. And now if I go to the 3D view, now the magic happens, because as I draw the roof, I've done the roof design based on the Google Map material. Now this building is at its exact position on the Google Map. So if you want to make sure that you see now this is really fitting the image. So once you you do the project design with MapDrawer, you will be able to, or you're gonna make sure that the later in this view, the building will be on the precise position on Google. Yeah, you could say now I would like to hide the buildings, so now these gray blocks will disappear. In the advanced parameters, you could say, well, I would like to hide the modules. Maybe you would like to hide the interference objects. Maybe you would say, well, the rendering should be not so nice whatsoever. But you could also work with, let's say, the terrain position. Sometimes if your project is located in the mountains, maybe sometimes some edge of the building becomes, it's like flying. So then with this slider, you could adapt to that. You could you need to play around with that. it's pretty much self-explaining. Now in the project report, no, I didn't just let me go back. I forgot something. So I go into the 3D scene total. I said, well, I would like to have the Google Map material. And again, left mouse key is tilt and turn. Right mouse key is shift and height, like with a drone, if you will. And again, I would like to do some screenshots here from this angle, and maybe maybe from that angle. Also, so 2 screenshots should be okay. And now I go to the output, and just need to recalculate the project to create the bill of materials. Now I have the project report. And once you click on project report, the project report generator starts. And we start here on the right side. So this is a project with multiple roofs. Could be also multiple buildings. And you say, well, the project report should contain both sides, both roof areas here. And then the information that's going to be provided, you could say, well, these are the 3D images. And you could say, well, I would like to have them included in the project report, or no, or no, whatever. You could say, well, I deselect all, and you could start from scratch if you want to. Yeah. You could say, well, let's say we would like just to have basic stuff. We don't want to have a bill of materials because maybe with your first quote, the bill of materials, you don't want to give detailed information on all the components here. Maybe it's just a gross price that you want to offer. For the customer, the rail cuts is also not interesting. And also these 2 values are not really interesting. And you say, well, this could be it. And you click create the project report. This is just a hint that it could take a while, and it's really depending on the amount of information that should be part of the project report and the size of your project. So if it's a 10 kilowatt peak residential project, then the project report generation will take 15 seconds or so. If it's a large installation, let's say a flat roof with 4 megawatts of yield, then it could take 40-50 seconds. So patience is needed. But you will see later that the project report is also part of the project documentation. Once you create it, it's going to be downloaded automatically. My bandwidth today seems to be a bit weak, and it's opened. In my case, it's opened in Acrobat. So your base PDF viewer. So you have this page, the front page, the table of contents, and then the project report. Very, very easy. The reason why I'm showing it, because apparently you probably know that, it's also stored here in the documentation. So once you generated it and you needed one more time. Maybe you didn't do any changes to the project. You don't need to generate it another time. And maybe you just go to the Output tab, go to Project Documentation, and you'll find that here. And you'll find also these screenshots here, because maybe you would like to download them manually to include them into your offer. They're here. And this icon here for save, this is for zoom, and this is for display. Another advice is Finalize Project, and that's something, that's somehow important. In my opinion, once I did a project design and I created an offer based on the project design, I'm finalizing the project. I'm locking it. I'm asked if I really want to do that. Yes, I would like to do that. What happens is that the project is becoming it's freezed, if you will. So you cannot do any changes to it. You can unlock it later, but for unintentional changes, that's a good idea, because the offer that you did for the project is corresponding to the state of the project. And once you change the state of a project, the offer is automatically no longer valid. And that's the idea of it. And also for documentation purposes, you see now there's a button that's labeled with download zip. And you could now, with some project information like PDFs, the bill of materials, etc., and screenshots, is part of this zip file. So for documentation purposes, it's also a good idea to lock the project and to download a zip file and store it on a local file system if you want to. And you could reopen it just by Edit Project. So once it's locked, and if I go to whatever, the Project tab, you see the Save button is no longer there. So I could do any changes to the roof tab. I could say, well, it's 9 meters. Yeah, I could give the input, but I couldn't change anything. So if I would like to do changes, my advice is the project is named Base Tutorial, Manage Projects. The last project is that one, and I do a copy of it, copy the whole project, open the project. Automatically, I'm in the Project tab. The project is open, and I could say, well, Base Tutorial, and also here the underscore, I'm deleting that, and I call it V2 for version 2. Yeah? Hit save, and then I could do my changes according to what I want to do as change. So last but not least, flat roof. I'm not creating a new project, just showing you the essentials of it. You could either choose flat roof elevation if you just would like to give length and width. That's something you could do. In my opinion, the better way, also in terms of visualization, is to choose custom elevation and then start map drawer. And you see now here, this is a building where you have an irregular roof outline, and very easy. You see the guidelines are not saved, but there are snapping to the existing outline, and then I could really easily draw these. And here I just release to draw this. I'm just releasing my shift key on my keyboard up to this point, and then press it again to be sure that this line is parallel to my guideline. It's very, very easy to use. And also with flat roofs, as I see the copies, most of the time on flat roofs, you have a couple of let's say here for windows, top windows, and you could also make copies and multiple copies and patterns that you could copy. You also see in this example that I did not draw every interference object. That was on purpose, because in the first phase of my project design, it's really depending on the number of the number of interference areas. Maybe if it's a large roof and you have, let's say, 200 interference areas, well, it would take a couple of time to draw them without knowing if there's going to be a contract. So if I did the project design with Google and I go to the position tab, I could use the option show background image. And now the Google image is now the background of my roof. And I could also set here with this little icon here, could set the modules half transparent. And now I see through the modules, I see the Google image, and maybe I think, here is something. Maybe it's sufficiently enough to delete these two boxes here and maintain this, because in terms of ballast and of patterns, you should have single modules from my understanding. So you could work with this up to your the way you want, if you will. So very, very easy, fast way to give an initial quote without drawing all these objects. Now, this is not a big roof. You see, it's 175 kilowatt peaks. That's not really big. But imagine if this would be 2 megawatt and you would have whatever 500 things. It's easier to delete modules than to draw all these interference areas to give you initial quote. What I forgot to show, if you're designing flat roofs, the choice of a product you would like to use as elevation system has to be done not in the design tab but in the roof tab itself. So it's a flat roof, and you're choosing the roofing. So it could be foil, shingle, bitumen, green, or concrete. In my case, I was estimating that's bitumen, and the product type. So in this case, you could choose from east, west to south. And then the rest is pretty much the same, and the parapet height and width needs to be input, or it's not mandatory. It could be 0 or blank. If you're not given any input here, we're taking 0. So that's different as from pitch roof design, but the rest is basically the same. And here in the design tab, these are specific parameters specific to the racking system here. So inter-row spacing could be 200, could be 300 if you want to. This is the inter-row distance here. So people could walk here, and if you say, well, I would like to bring maximum modules on the roof, then 60 millimeters is maybe your choice here. Well, the rest is pretty much self-explaining, and parts of it is part of the next webinar. So, 21 minutes delay. I hope that you could take as much as input as possible. The screen recording will be available soon. So if there's any questions, or if you're struggling during your project design, it's maybe a good idea to have the webinar from today open in one window and working on your project with another browser window. If you have any questions, please address them to the email address where the invitation was sent from. Thank you very much for your participation. Hope to see you all at the next webinar, which takes place on Thursday, from my guessing. Have a good day. Successful project design. Take care. Stay healthy. Have a good time. Bye-bye.